Hello. It is episode 28 of Had Worse Mondays. 28 is actually my lucky number. And it has been for a long time, since the 90s. It just always came up in my life. I remember when I was younger and the lottery was on. The amount of times I would say 28. I used to try and call it as the numbers came out. A bit late, obviously. I should have done it before, then I might have won something. But I would always say 28, and that would come out. 28 and the number 47 used to come up so much. And then in my life, the number 28 just followed me around. It's just always there for me. In just funny ways, sometimes big ways. And then sometimes I remember going to IKEA and there was like a DVD stacker thing you could buy. So you just put one on DVD on top of the other. You know, like you'd have it in the corner of your bedroom. And I was there and I think I was with my mum. She went, how many DVDs can you put in that? And I went, probably 28. And I counted it. Bang, 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 28. The fact I'd guessed it, because that's always the number. And also they decided to put 28 in there. Why had they done that? Why had they decided 28? That's the number. No idea. But bigger reasons than that. It's always around. So yeah, that's my lucky number. I would actually, this is very early for the episode. We're going into this week's writing. What's your lucky number and why? I was always jealous of people who had the number 3 as their lucky number. I always liked that one. That's a very cool number, very magic number. It's a big number in comedy, the rule of 3. If you ever want to, I mean, now I'm struggling to think about any example, but if you want to say 3 reasons why, I know, I'll try and come up with something. I can't think of an example, but you would say 3 things as to why, maybe 3 reasons why you didn't like somebody. And the third one would always be the sort of stupid reason, basically. He's ignorant, he's racist, and then you'd say, and he supports Arsenal. And you'd sort of take it to that. And that would be the 3. And then you'd sort of do that as the third one would be silly. Is that a good enough example? Sort of racism's quite a heavy one to use in there, isn't it? He's ignorant, he's racist, and he supports Arsenal. Yeah, I guess that works. Yeah, you'd say that's 3 reasons why I didn't like somebody. If you're watching now, if you are watching, this means you're on YouTube. I realise there's been a change. The video version of the podcast is no longer available on Spotify. So if you want to watch it, you do have to go onto YouTube. I'll keep posting them on there. And for now, you can listen. Now, I do always have a record behind me. So if you're not watching, this week it's Jackson C. Frank. Now, have you heard of Jackson C. Frank? I'm going to assume most of you haven't. And not in a sort of, I'm sort of a hipster type vibe. But like in, people just haven't. But you would have heard his songs. I think Simon and Garfunkel produced it, or at least one of them. Simon or Garfunkel. Which one was it? I think it was Garfunkel. I've never actually known what Simon and Garfunkel look like. To me, they look like Penn and Teller. But anyway, Jackson C. Frank. He wrote. You'd know one of his songs. I think. One of my favourites of his is Carnival, where it's very sad. But you would know The Blues Run the Game, I think, which is also very sad. But it's used quite often in stuff. It's you'd recognise that one, I think, if you check him out. Jackson C. Frank, and the reason I chose him is if you go on his Wikipedia page, it's a very sad read. Had a very tough life, a hard life. And I think he was schizophrenic, and at some point I think some people threw stones at him when he was on a park bench and he lost his eye. He had a tough life, but he was an amazing musician anyway. Sorry, not anyway, but that's very sad. But go read his Wikipedia page if you like. It is an interesting read, but great art came out of it. I'm not comparing myself to him. What I'm saying is I'm currently reading, the book I'm reading this week is A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole. Now, last week, if you listened, I was on Reddit, and this man who retired said he'd read 500 books since he retired, and he listed his top 20. So I read one of them this week, which was Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. And this was another one, A Confederacy of Dunces. And it was one of those books I'd heard of, but I didn't really know anything about. So I ordered it. In fact, what happened was, I went on to another comment section about A Confederacy of Dunces, and there were people saying some people were saying it's the funniest book they've ever read. Some people were saying didn't get it. And I'll be drawn to that anyway, immediately. And then there was one line someone said, a line that got them, and it was in just out of context. They wrote this line from the book, and it made me laugh out loud. So I thought I'll go for it. And then I'm just gonna have a sip of my tea. I need to actually this is a gift from a Mondea. If you're new, and if you're watching on YouTube, if you're not, if you're anywhere else, you're just listening. It's a mug, and it's got the Mondeas written on the front. So cheers. Gonna have my first sip. Still quite hot. So anyway, I'll always read the foreword in a book, and this one starts with, perhaps the best way to introduce this novel, which on my third reading of it astounds me even more than the first, is to tell of my first encounter with it. While I was teaching at Loyola in 1976, I began to get telephone calls from a lady unknown to me. What she proposed was preposterous. Quite a hard word for me to read, actually. It was not that she had written a couple of chapters of a novel and wanted to get into my class. It was that her son, who was dead, had written an entire novel during the early 60s, a big novel, and she wanted me to read it. Why would I want to do that? I asked her. Because it is a great novel, she said. Over the years, I have become very good at getting out of things I don't want to do, and if there ever was something I didn't want to do, this was surely it. To deal with the mother of a dead novelist, and worst of all, to have to read a manuscript that she said was great. And that, as it turned out, was a badly smeared, scarcely readable carbon. But the lady was persistent, and it somehow came to pass that she stood in my office handing me the hefty manuscript. There was no getting out of it. Only one hope remained, that I could read a few pages and that they would be bad enough for me in good conscience to read no further. Usually I can just do that. Indeed, the first paragraph often suffices. My only fear was that this one might not be bad enough, or might be just good enough, so that I would have to keep reading. In this case, I read on and on, first with the sinking feeling that it was not bad enough to quit, then with a prickle of interest, then a growing excitement, and finally an incredulity. Surely it was not possible that it was so good. I shall resist the temptation to say what first made me gape, grin, laugh out loud, shake my head in wonderment. Better let the reader make the discovery on his own. So this is the book, and he finishes his foreword by saying, the tragedy of the book is the tragedy of the author, his suicide in 1969 at the age of 32. Another tragedy is the body of work we have been denied. It is a great pity that John Kennedy Toole is not alive and well and writing, but he is not. And there's nothing we can do about it but make sure that this gargantuan, tumultuous human tragicomedy is at least made available to a world of readers. So, yeah, he actually wrote this book, and then because it wasn't a success, he killed himself, took his own life. And so good that his mum just carried on. She was so sure it was great. And I wonder if there was ever moments when she doubted herself, when she just thought, but I'm a mother. A mother would always be proud of everything her child does. Am I wrong? But she just was so persistent. Went to this guy, and there you go. So I'm enjoying it. It's very, very well written. Just to think back then, yeah, this guy had never had anything published. And it's so well written. It's, yeah. Yeah. So I'm reading that, and so I just thought he obviously had a tough life, but was a genius. Jackson C. Frank, same thing. So that's the connection there this week. And episode 28. So when I started this podcast, if you're new, welcome. It's basically just me talking for an hour every week about what I've been up to, what my thoughts are, what I'm going to be up to. And it started because I used to do a podcast with someone who had to stop. They said they didn't want to carry on doing a podcast. So I did a solo episode of that. People liked it. And we used to release it every Monday. So I started a new one. And my aim was to do it for a year. So do 52 episodes. That was my promise at the start. That I'll do that. And then, so yeah, we're episode 28 now. And we're in July. And yeah, every Monday. With some slight delays. Only ever hours, never days. Last week was one. Last week, as everyone was up on a Sunday night, going into Monday morning, as we discussed last week, for England-Mexico, there was me, 20 minutes before kickoff, still trying to get this podcast uploaded, and I failed. It just, I don't know what was going on. There's also a trend we have on the podcast called Nothing Works, which has come about very organically. And it's now just, if something doesn't work, instead of getting angry about it, which you have every right to do, instead of having a meltdown, which again you have every right to do because nothing works, you can just also come into the comment section on Spotify or on YouTube and just mention your thing that hasn't worked that week, and it's sort of like a therapy. And then this podcast wouldn't work, it wouldn't upload, it wouldn't exist, I couldn't do anything with it. I think it ended up on YouTube only at one point, and then it was later in the day it was available on Spotify. But yeah, and other wherever you get your podcasts. So this week, what have I been up to? Well, it started with England beating Mexico in the Azteca, but I am recording this on Saturday, and England play tonight. We play Norway. This will come out on Monday. The reason I'm recording it on Saturday is I usually record it on a Sunday, so it's as fresh as can be. However, tomorrow, well, it's going to be a late night. I'm still trying to plan my game watching experience for tonight. Basically, England v Norway kicks off at 10. I have a gig, a show in Crawley, which I was sure was going to be pulled, and it hasn't been. And the gig I then thought maybe would be moved to earlier in the day, and again, it hasn't been. So I'm headlining the gig, so I'm closing it, which means I'll be on... The gig starts at 8 as a host, and there's 3 acts doing 20 minutes. I'm one of them. So there'll be the host, the opening act, a break, the host, the middle act, a break, the host, then me. And hopefully that's done by 10. I was going to stay there afterwards and watch it with everybody, but I messaged the promoter and they weren't entirely sure about the setup or how good it was going to be. And I thought, actually, I quite like listening to football on the radio. So I think what I'm going to do is hop straight in the car. I slightly regret the fact I said hop. Sounds a little bit like something either sort of a very basic person would say, like a dad in his 50s. Not that they're all basic, but that sort of person just hopped in the car. I sort of slightly regret that. And also, why else do I not like it? Just sounds like some I don't know, don't like it. Doesn't sound like something I should say. I'll get in the car. Jump in the car, I'd say, but hop feels a bit... Anyway, get in the car and drive back. I quite like listening to football on the radio. Listen to the first half in the radio. Listen to the first half in the car on the radio. Get home for the second half. There is also the chance that the game once again is delayed because of weather. I think the last 8 days in Miami, there's been a quite bad thunderstorm. And if there is one within, I think, 9 miles of the stadium, then the game can't start. So yeah, I'm going to listen to the first half in the car and second half at home. And your dream is always that you're with friends and you're in the pub watching or you're at home watching. But it's all about unique experiences. And if we go through, then England Argentina would be an amazing game. And I've certainly not got any gigs that night. I'm also really excited for France v Spain on Tuesday as a semi-final. That's as good as a final, really. That's crazy. Anyway, so you go, well, if we win, great, and then I'm excited for the next one. And if we don't go through, I'll go, well, it's probably the best way. I was a bit disconnected, but saying disconnected whilst basically admitting, sort of lying to myself to just put myself, don't get too invested because you might go out and have another sip of my tea. So a unique way to experience the game, which I think is actually the best way to do it. Everyone's having their stories of how they watched it on Sunday/Monday, the England-Mexico game. My mum said that her and my dad were going to stay up to watch it. Then there was the delay, so they went to bed. And then my mum, she either got a text message from a friend of hers in Colombia or they'd left the radio on or something. Either way, she heard that it was, she woke up to the text or heard the radio or both. I think my parents sleep with the radio on, and it said it was half time and England were 2-1 up, so she woke my dad up because she was excited, and they both went down and watched it. So again, it's all about unique experiences, and if I go, oh, I remember that game, I did a show, I hopped into the car, put the radio on, listened to the first half in the car on my own, tooted my horn when we scored, hopped out the car, ran inside, watched the second half at home in an armchair. What a night! What a day! Come on, England! Or God, yeah, that was awful, wasn't it? Yeah, luckily I was only listening in the car, yeah, on the radio, and then I got home and just put it on and just thought, blimey, that was bad. Either way, but and then the so the reason I'm recording this today is because that's tonight, which could be a late night if it does go to extra time and penalties, and then tomorrow I'm in Cambridge doing a show. I was going to be on in the afternoon. I was going to be on at about 4, but now I'm on at 7:45, so I'm still not sure whether I'll get the train or drive. Shall I hop in the car or hop on the train? But yeah, I'm not sure. So this week I went to see my friend from Australia. My friend that I met when I was doing my tour show in Melbourne last year, in April last year in Melbourne. We became friends, and then she's over here. She's been travelling around Europe, and she came to London, so we went out for dinner. We went, lunch. It was like 5. What would you consider that? It was an early dinner. 5 o'clock, we went to a place she recommended. She's, I hate the word, but she's a foodie, she says. And it's called Fallows. Really nice, actually. And as we sat down, a lady that worked there walked past. We sat outside, and she said, she used a strange term. She said, "You've been identified." And what happened was, we sat outside and I needed a wee, so I went inside and went downstairs to use the toilet. And as I came out, because we were sat outside, it was quicker for me to go out the front door and turn left rather than go through the restaurant to the back bit, to the side, like outdoor bit. So I did that, but I realised it looked like I'd stuck into a restaurant to use the toilets and then just left. And I noticed some people looking at me that worked there as I did that. Then I was relieved to discover it's because they had recognised, but she said identified. She came over and it was very nice. I was about to order the sweet corn ribs to start, and then she said, I'd love to give you some sweet corn ribs. I think they're the best thing on the menu, so I'd like to give you some. So I was like, great. I was about to order that, if I'm honest. Then I had a funny little thing. It was a quail egg on a waffle. So there's a tiny little egg, little fried egg on top of a waffle. It looked so funny, but it was lovely. Great food. There was like a cheese burrata thing around a curry sauce. There was a mushroom thing on toast, but I didn't have the toast, just had the mushroom. It was great. I'm not a foodie, but it was good. And now what's good is I have a restaurant to recommend to people when they come to London, because otherwise I'm like, don't know, whatever you like, just Google it. Then we went to watch Mousetrap. So she said she wanted to go to a West End show, and I was like, great idea. Also, it was Wednesday, there was no football on. So I said, let's have a look. And I had a little look. I didn't want to go to like a musical so much and have another sip of my tea. So I looked, and the two that I wanted to see, one was My Neighbour Totoro, the Studio Ghibli film they made into a play. But in fact, my friend Leon, he went with school to go and watch that a few weeks ago. He's a teacher, he's not at school. And I hadn't spoke to him about it yet, but I thought, well, he didn't text me anything about it. I'm sure it's going to be great, but I think I do really want to see it. I didn't know how much she was into Studio Ghibli anyway. And I thought, well, she's Australian, she's in London, we should probably go and see her. So I narrowed it down to two. I narrowed it down to My Neighbour Totoro and The Mousetrap by Agatha Christie. And I've actually never read an Agatha Christie book. I bought one when I was in Winnipeg in December. I bought And Then There Were None, which I know, going over to Canada and, not exactly soaking up the culture by buying an Agatha Christie book. But I think I'd seen that one as a list of like, if you start, that's the one you should start with. Or if you're going to read one, read that one. But I haven't yet. And I thought, I really want to scratch the itch of Agatha Christie. So let's go and see The Mousetrap. Longest running play on earth, I think. I think last year it made it to 30,000 performances. So when I offered her the two, even though I wanted to see both, I was thinking, if she says Neighbour Totoro, I'm going to be a little bit like, I want to see the other one. So I thought, actually, I just said, let's go and see that one. Luckily, in fact, no, she replied and said, whichever one you want. So I said, that one then. So we had dinner, went for a walk, got a tea, then went to the theatre. And there were two Americans queuing. As you go in there's like a shop bit to the right, just where you can buy programs, keyrings and stuff like that. And we walked into two Americans arguing. One guy was in the queue. He was second in the queue to get to this little stall bit. And there was a man leaning over to look at the pricing and everything, I think. And then the guy was like, there's a line. And he was like, I'm not jumping the line. I'm just trying to look at the prices. And he goes, I'm just saying there's a line. And he's like, but I'm not jumping in. I'm just looking at the prices. I can't see. I'd say they're both in their 70s. And the guy saying there's a line, he was wearing glasses. And the other guy was like, I don't have glasses like you. I can't see. I'm leaning over so I can see the damn prices. And he's like, I'm just saying there's a line. I'm just saying. And they both sort of seemed quite New York-y energy. And then there was a little bit tense. Tried to get around that, went upstairs and just sat there and had a cup of tea. And then, when we went to our seats, we were on the stalls, but which is just like orchestra stalls. Like, it just means the bottom bit, the ground floor, I guess. So we were there. And I picked it over to the ones to the right because I was wondering what's more comfortable for me, to sit there and with my head looking to the right or looking to the left. And before I booked, I was thinking I want to sit with my head looking slightly to the left, to the side. That's more comfortable for me. And on the edge so I could put my legs out. I'm not exactly tall, but it's nice to stretch out. Anyway, as I sat down, a guy in front of me had quite a big head. So I had to lean over to the left a bit. And I looked behind me and there was these two ladies behind me. I think it was a mother and a daughter, but the daughter was like my age. And I said, oh, can you see? And they went, not really. I said, well, I'll lean down a lot if you like. So I sort of really sat down in the chair. So it was comfortable for me with my legs out. And I was like, I'll just do this then. and it looks a bit mad, but it's for them so they can see as well. And they were from, if I had to guess, I would say either Hungary or Croatia, I think. And they were there, so I was like, I did that, and I was very wary that they were behind me. Watch the play, watch Mousetrap. I'm trying to have a little guess who it could be. Then there's the interval, and people are talking about what they think and who it could be, and this whole thing was, they say before the show and after, keep the secret, don't tell anyone the secret. Yeah, it was satisfying, yeah. At the end, I was like, yeah, okay, cool. You started to pick up little clues, and one person I picked up early, and I was like, okay, yep, get them. And then the other one, I was a bit suspicious, and it sort of turned, I sort of guessed it, I think. But it was very good, and the casting was great. Every single one of them, I was thinking, I can't imagine anyone else playing these characters. They're so look like, if I was reading the play, if I was reading the book, I don't think it is a book, I think it was straight to a play, but I think if I was reading the play, these are exactly what I would imagine these people look like. It was brilliant casting. And yeah, no, it was good. But then, as the big reveal was coming, these two that I've sat and sort of slouched down so they can see for the whole thing, start in their native language, having a full-on conversation. And the guy in front of me looks round, and I'm like slouched down as if to go, looked at him like, oh, it's not me. Just a fool, like the level I'm talking now. They both just went, oh yeah. I don't know what they were saying because it was in whatever language they used, but it was basically like one of them going, I guess it was like, oh, so yeah, so that person's that. Yeah, well, I didn't think it was that, did you? No, I didn't think. It was like that level. And everyone was looking around like in like disbelief. And I don't know if they thought because they weren't speaking English, it was okay to say whatever they wanted, but they were just, people were looking around, and I couldn't, I'd already had a connection with them, because I had a connection and they were right behind me. I couldn't actually do anything. I was thinking if I was the row ahead, enough disconnect, then luckily someone else did. Someone who was 2 rows ahead of me and to the right just went, shh, great. And they did. They did after the second shush. It was crazy. I didn't even look at them after. I thought it was ridiculous. I'd done that out the way the whole way so they could see, not to ruin their experience. Then they just full-on conversation during the play. In fact, after the break, everyone's sort of decorum had dropped a lot. People were just like, people obviously ordered drinks with ice, so you could just hear like the ice clamoring. People were dropping stuff. So odd. Just afterwards, everyone comes relaxed. But they say in comedy, if you're on after the first break, it's sort of the best time to be on because everyone's more relaxed. And that was certainly the case here. Everyone knows their seats. Everyone knows what's about. They're also like, yep, great, first bit done. We had fun. We know what's going on now. It was that sort of energy. So yeah, went to see that play, West End play. Good to be a tourist in your own city. So what else do I have to talk about? I got some new bread this week, which I know sounds really dull, but it's called Dylan's Organic. And I'd seen it in my local shop a few times. I looked at it and I was thinking, it intrigues me. And it's very heavy. You pick up a pack of it and core, heavy. So I was like, that is dense with seeds and goodness. Now, it is £5 for a loaf and you do only get 4 slices. But one slice is like a meal. So I've been having it for breakfast thinking, well, that's £1 basically. Well, £1 and a bit for breakfast. And I just have that with a bit of avocado on it. And it's been amazing. And then I followed them on Instagram because I was like, these are great. What else do they make? Then the guy messaged me and he was like, Jake, big fan. I'd love to send you some stuff. So worked out well for me. Seemed like a nice guy. And he was asking about if I use a keto diet for epilepsy. I think the food is good for like keto diets, I guess, because maybe you can't have bread if it's basically not bread. It's almost like a protein, like seeds and nuts and things. Got olive in it. It's very good. Anyway, I said, no, I'm gluten free, but I just like health. So I thought I'd try it. And I actually went to the Epilepsy Society this week. I went there out in Chelfont St Peters. I went there on, what day was that? Thursday? Yeah, it was Thursday. Yeah, I went over there and saw them. I do stuff with Epilepsy Society every now and again. I've done stuff with different Epilepsy Action. I went and did a show for them in Leeds. And the people from the Epilepsy Society have come to a few tour shows of mine. They're always sort of, if something's going on, they'll always get in touch. And I went there before and they showed me around. And again, I went over there and just had a nice meeting and a chat with them. I would like to make a documentary, an epilepsy documentary, because you don't really get. I've tried to get one made here. You know, I think there was a production company that were like pitching something to the BBC. They had no interest. Any like shows, like if it's like Epilepsy Week or Purple Day or anything like that, you want to sort of like try and raise awareness because people don't know much about it. And so when I posted a video a while ago of me doing stand-up about epilepsy, and I commented, said, I've tried to talk about this and tried to like go on shows to promote it and talk about it. And there, at one point there was a really big problem with medication shortages. And my nephew's got epilepsy, so I was talking about that in the caption, and so many lovely messages off the back of that. And people commented in this one lady who she writes STEM books. So that's science, technology, engineering, and maths. Is that what it is? Something like that. And smart books. She was like, so sorry to hear this, and I used to make Horizon documentaries, and we should do something. She's really nice. Then I went to Epilepsy Society and spoke to them. They're up for making something. It'd be good to do. But yeah, it's crazy. And just like anything, there's like shows here, like The Last Leg on Channel 4. It's like, started because it was like a Paralympic show about disabilities. You'd think maybe when it was Epilepsy Week or something, they would maybe consider doing something, but no. So I think it'd be cool to make a documentary for like YouTube then. And then anyone can watch it all around the world. I think I've had so many nice messages from people when I talk about epilepsy in my stand-up. And I've been to Canada and Australia, New Zealand, going to go over to America. And you talk about it. And I think, so if I did something for YouTube, I think that would be the best way to do it, I think. Then it always sits there as well. So everyone can watch it. It's free. And then people can just always have it there. Because I get so many nice messages. I got an amazing email from a lady this week in Denmark. I'd say I get about 10 messages a week from people about epilepsy. And this one email, I'll always reply to them. And this one was like pages long about her son who has epilepsy. And she's a musician. And she's just stopped working so she can go and play music for people in hospitals and play music for them. So I was thinking, oh, go over there and meet her. Part of the documentary would be cool. So yeah, spoke to them about some ideas. That's very nice. Yeah, there's a few people, I'm thinking now there's a few more people I need to reply to actually that I forgot. I can also see my phone's lighting up loads. What's going on here? I'm getting notifications come through, and I don't usually have many notifications on, so when it is something no, it's fine. It's fine. Right, let's delve into some comments, shall we? We're only 34 minutes, that's it. Pretty good timing, actually, 34 minutes. If you're new, the episode's always at least 53 minutes long because it's one listener's commute. Right, let's delve into comments. Where should we go first? Let's go to Spotify comments first, then we'll go to YouTube. Comments. Okay, here we go. This is from Laura Sophia Penelope. I have to say, ... Oh, where's this going to go? I have to say, you read a lot. Crying, laughing emoji. Oh, lovely. Thank you. I'd actually love to get back into reading after a very long break. Any 2 to 3 book recommendations? One of my all-time favourites is The White Messiah. Oh, okay. The White Messiah, I've not read it. That's about the, is it Kenya? Is it the lady who goes over to Kenya and marries it's a true story, isn't it? I might have to Google it, so if that makes me sound really ignorant. I think... I think it's about I think it's a memoir of the White Messiah, a lady who moved or went to Kenya and fell in love, and then it was like a overview. A young girl falls in love with a Maasai during her vacation in Kenya and leaves her boyfriend to settle down with him. However, cultural differences and her husband's attitude leave her in a quandary. Yes. Yeah, I've not read it. Okay. 1986 Swiss businesswoman Corinne Hoffmann took a holiday in Kenya where she met and fell deeply in love with a Samburu warrior. Enchanted by the romance, she made the shocking decision to sell her successful business in Switzerland, relocate to a remote Kenyan village and marry him. Over the next 4 years, she faced a harsh reality. Hoffmann lived in a traditional mud and cow dung hut, dealt with severe bouts of malaria and starvation, grappled with immense cultural differences, including her husband's strict expectations and consuming jealousy. The couple had a daughter, but the strain of the environment and marital tension ultimately forced Hoffmann to flee back to Switzerland with their baby in 1990. I would love to read that. Wow. Yeah, great. Not obviously a bad story, but that's a good recommendation for everyone there, The White Messiah. And then you would like... One of my all-time favourites is The White Messiah, so you're looking for recommendations. I would say... Have you read the Elephant Whisperer? Is there The Elephant Whisperer and An Elephant in My Kitchen? Elephant in My Kitchen. I think I've got that somewhere. So you might like that, but also on a similar cultural issue. Sorry, I'm looking around at my bookshelf at the same time. The Elephant Whisperer, and I think there's one called The Elephant in My Kitchen. Can't find it. Should be in references. Where's my reference books? I'm going to crouch down while sorry if you're watching, and I'm going to disappear for a bit. Where is it? Have a look. Install lots. The Elephant Whisperer. Let me look at it. I think, is it the same Is it the same author, I mean? Lawrence Anthony. No, maybe there's just another elephant book. There's Elephant Whisperer, but I think it's Elephant in My Kitchen. Can't find it. Where on earth is that then? Huh. Oh, is this it? No, that's a story about an elephant. That's Modoc. Got a lot of elephant books here. But not the one I'm looking for. The other one would be The Boy in the River. If you're looking for... This is also a true story. And I guess I remember... It's by a guy called Richard Hoskins. So I followed him on... Used to be on Twitter, we used to message. Because I was reading his book. And he used to live... and do a lot of work in Africa. And so when the body of a boy was found in the River Thames, the police hired him to help them with it. It's called The Boy in the River by Richard Hoskins. So that would be two that I'd recommend. And then let me Google The Elephant in My Kitchen in case I've just dreamt it and it doesn't actually exist. The Elephant in My Kitchen. It sounds like a dream. I think I had a dream about an elephant last night, actually. I did. I think I was queuing up. I was queuing. Me and a load of animals were queuing to get somewhere, and I had a family of big cats, almost like a lynx or something, was behind me, and one of them jumped up on my back, and I was like, God, if that actually goes for a bite, even if it's friendly like Richard Parker would do, that's actually going to kill me, and I don't think it realises. So I was trying to shrug it off, but I didn't want to annoy it, and then in front of me were 3 elephants. I don't know what that means. Here we go, yeah, An Elephant in My Kitchen by Francois Malby Anthony. An Elephant in My Kitchen, published in July 2018 by, it doesn't matter, is the first book written by South African author and conservationist Francois Malby Anthony. It's a non-fiction book about Anthony's life on her game reserve in Zululand after the death of her husband was a surprising turn of events. yeah, I don't want to say too much. I'm sort of like skipping over words there to not say too much. But yes, so that one. Um, there you go. I hope that helps. Yeah, let me know if you're happy with those recommendations or if you've read them already. But that's two I'd recommend for you. Thanks for the vinyl update at the start of each episode, you're welcome. I'm so glad I asked a few weeks ago. So far, I have failed to guess any of the connections correctly. You certainly wouldn't have guessed this week, so I didn't have any Norwegian artists, and there was nothing I could really connect it with that happened, so there was no game this week. Sometimes I will do a little game at the start. And I've just added Searching for Sugar Man to my watch list, thanks. Oh, Jen, let me know when you've watched it. Oh, enjoy it. That moment, there's a moment in it. I won't say too much, but there's a moment in it, and it's just when you hear and the reaction, and it just brilliant. Oh, this was so before this was off the back of a Nothing Works. It was a listener had gone to AT&T Stadium to watch a World Cup game, but the tickets they booked were in the wrong section, which was annoying, of course, but I was slightly more distracted by the fact they'd been to the World Cup, so we spoke about that quite a bit. You asked for more info about going to the World Cup game in Dallas. Yes. We live in the Dallas/Fort Worth area and decided to attend the Norway Ivory Coast game at the last minute, brackets when ticket prices finally dropped on StubHub. Wanted a certain section to be close to other family attending, but in true Nothing Works fashion, the tickets transferred to us were not in the advertised location and were on the opposite side of the stadium. Yes, it's AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play. That is annoying. I wonder if StubHub should do some sort of refund for that if it's actually not what was advertised. There should be something, surely, because that's crazy. Anyway, my mum messaged me to say that she's going to the AT&T Stadium next month to watch the Dallas Cowboys. So it'll be pre-season, I told her. They're playing the New Orleans Saints. And I said, watch the... if anything, watch the cheerleader documentary as well, because you'll get to see the nerves of the girls going out to do that for the Thunderstruck for the first time. Is it Thunderstruck? Yeah. I said, watch that. So, even that will be exciting as well. It would be anyway, but you get more context for it. To be honest, she'd understand that more than she would the game. But she's excited. She's got a friend. She did a lot of work in Dallas, and she's got a friend that lives there. So she's going out to see her, and they're going to go to a game. Lovely. Oh, and there's a reply to, you said, we aren't Cowboy fans. Oh, not from here originally. The stadium is affectionately known as Jerry Weld around here and is beautiful. It was so hot outside. Real feel 107 Fahrenheit. So what's that? It's like a third makes centigrade. So yeah, that's hot. 35 maybe? 35, 70. Yeah. But we were perfectly comfortable inside. We were pulling for Norway, and now that the US is out, we kind of want to see Norway go all the way. Brackets, so England. If England beats Norway, I'll treat you to the best barbecue in North Texas when you're here next year. Oh wait, you're a vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian, yeah, but cool, a Beyond Burger. Put a Beyond Burger on the barbecue, and I'll be there. I had a meeting actually with people in Los Angeles this week. And they let me know how much, I didn't realise how much how much the Americans have welcomed Erling Haaland into their life and sort of embraced him. So he's the hero. So I sort of realised that England are actually the bad guys tonight playing Norway. Pardon me, sorry. Yeah, I sort of referenced it, how much that they love him, and they really do. They're really taken by him. I guess, if they close their eyes and picture a Norwegian, I imagine he's exactly what you'd picture, some sort of Viking. But and then him doing the drums. To be honest, if we're going to go out to any team, I'd go out to Norway. If I'm honest, that's the team I'd happily go out to because, I think everyone sort of embraced them. And I've got lovely fans in Norway, and I've toured there. Been there. I did Oslo and Bergen. Lovely. Great. Thank you. Thanks for your message. I know this has been the second I've commented about not being able to see the visuals, but just wanted to let you know it's not worked again. Love this podcast. Makes me feel very relaxed. Agree with a lot of stuff you say and how your brain works. Thank you. Thanks, Laura. That's nice. Sorry. Yeah, the videos will now always be on YouTube. Even if you don't have a YouTube account, YouTube's free for everybody. So the video will be there, just not on Spotify. So if you want to listen, then you want to give it a watch. Or if you just want to watch, it's there. You can do everything, but unfortunately, it is going to work that way for a bit until we get it sorted. My favourite line from the last episode. Oh, this is two Lauras having a conversation. That was very confusing. So, Laura LL is the one who just said about the visuals and that she likes the way my brain works. And thank you. Then Laura from before, who was asking for the book recommendation, she jumped into the comments, and now the two of them are having a conversation, so I'm going to read that. It's public. Book Laura, has replied, my favourite line from the last episode is, I don't even agree with my own opinions. How can anyone agree 100% with everything a politician says? Laura LL has replied, spot on. Also, on another note, really confused me with your name, as my middle name is Laura Mary, and my brain saw Laura Marie 16. My favourite number is 16. Laura, I can't believe this. I was asking people what their lucky numbers were and why, and you've already commented. 16, and you don't know why. My favourite number is 16, no idea why. I've never heard of someone having 16. I've heard of people who have 13. I think they want to be edgy because they know it's bad. Never heard of 16. In fact, I think there's a quarterback. Is it Patrick Mahomes? Who has number 16? And I remember looking at it going, that just looks like an odd number to have. Because Josh Allen's 17, and that sort of makes sense to me. Something about the look of it. Is Patrick Mahomes number 16? Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, I've always found 16 to be a funny number. It doesn't really come up for me. It doesn't really mean anything to me. I remember being 16. Oh, he's 15. Okay, no, Patrick Mahomes is 15. That's okay. I grew up at a door number 15. Any quarterbacks, any QBs with the number 16? I'm sure I saw someone with the number 16 and I was like, that is odd. It's just thinking. Oh, Joe Montana famously wore 16. Jared Goff. No way, and Trevor... Apparently two do. 16. Jared Goff wears 16. I just find 16 such a funny number. Oh, thanks, Laura. No idea why, she says. Oh, and then Laura, so Book Laura's replied, said, I've changed my username today, so your comment suddenly looks very confusing. Oh, whoa! Then this other Laura, Book Laura, she's replied, she's put, and my favourite number is 16 as well. What? This is crazy. I was just earlier on. This is why. My favourite number is 28. Episode 28, all this magic starts to happen all around lucky numbers. That's just pure luck of the number 28 gifting me this. This is wild. And they're both called Laura, and they've just discovered that both of their favourite numbers are 16. And Laura LL doesn't know why. Book Laura Sophia Penelope, let me know why. Let us know why. Wow. Brilliant. I enjoyed that. Oh, blimey, this next one seems a bit highbrow, from Amy Lowe. Hey, Jake, on the topic of nothing works, there's a jocular theory coined by UK commonist Paul Jennings called resistentialism. Resistentialism. It's the idea that inanimate objects hold a lot of malice towards humans. That does make sense. And are intentionally working against us. Toast falling topside down. Traffic lights all red when you're in a hurry. No pen when you need one. All examples of resistentialism and all intentional sabotage by the toast, the traffic lights and the pens. Amy Lowe. I'm going to check that out. I'm going to put it on my to-do list. Paul Jennings. And then try and spell the next bit. I'm going to put it on my to-do list now. Hold on. Paul Jennings. Resistentialism. Wow. That does make sense, doesn't it? When it's all going against you, you go, surely something's going on here. There was actually in this book I'm reading now, Confederacy of Dunces, if I can find it quickly, there's a theory someone says. Am I going to be able to find this? There's a theory that comes up in here. Oh no, I don't know if I'm going to be able to look in time while I've got you all here without to keep a conversation going while looking for something's quite difficult. Also, when you're just looking through pages to see by chance if this comes up. I'm talking about, okay, fate has come up. It's this theory. Is it early on in the book? It's about, there's a theory that, would you mind, I know I never usually do this, if I pause the podcast for a bit and then come back? Because then I can find it and I can talk to you about it. Otherwise, you just got me flicking through a book. So, I found it. Basically, it's it's the belief in Rota Fortunae, or Wheel of Fortune, a central concept in philosophy that Boethius wrote, and it was the late Roman Boethius who'd written the Consolatione while unjustly imprisoned by the emperor, had said that a blind goddess spins us on a wheel, that our luck comes in cycles. And so later on in the book, other stuff starts to happen, and he wonders if he's just currently on a spin of bad luck, and he's waiting for the cycle to come back around. Blimey, that was a long detour for me to get to that bit, but it keeps coming up in the book. Anyway, I'll update you. Right, back to the comments. Fluffy, how come the video does not work on Spotify? Sorry about that, you can find it on YouTube. Hi Jake, happy to see there was at least a YouTube version ready to watch after the Sunday Monday football. Beyond Meat, definitely a good choice. Yes, their meatballs are good too. Ooh, assume you're okay with coconut oil. Not supposed to have it, but try the all plants chickpea or sweet potato burgers. That's not for me, but thank you. Both gluten-free and moist, unlike many veggie burgers which can resemble cardboard, as I'm sure you've experienced. Yeah, but the Beyond Meat ones are perfect. Laura Bailey, my cousin, Laura, has replied, I was just about to say the video isn't working as I wanted to look at your hair. Why did you want to look at my hair? What I said about my hair? Laura actually also WhatsApped me this week. Oh, thanks, Alison. Love listening on a Monday, especially a very Monday-ish Monday. Cheered me up. Monday, 6/7. No new episode to listen to on Spotify. Nothing works. Right, let me just... Laura had messaged as well to say this week that luckily nothing I've experienced because it's about using public toilets, but when you try to wave the flush, apparently there's like a hand wave thing and it doesn't flush, but I've had a similar thing where I can never get the hand dryers to work. And then there's also these new ones they have, these hand dryers that are like bars that like the air will come at you at an angle at you. So I think if I've got wet hands and I'm about to dry my hands, it's just going to blow the water onto me. It's just going to, if I was wearing like light trousers and I'm drying my hands at this bar that's like, it's a Dyson one, but it's these two wide bars that come off it and it just aims downwards. It's just going to make them wet. And it doesn't work either. Just about times I'm just waving my hand around going, does this work? Nothing works. Anyway, the worst one for me is when you go to use one of those hand sanitizer things and you do the pump and nothing comes out. That is the worst one for me because you just go, well, I've just made my hands dirty twice. Did I mention that last week? Probably. I mention it often. It really annoys me. Let's have a quick look on YouTube comments, then I better get out of here. How do I get to this? Comments. Oh, blimey. Comments. Yes, light. I don't know what that means. Yes, light. That's why it's fun to listen to your podcast. When something goes right, you're like, wow, because even the simplest and quickest things that you want to get done seem to have something that goes wrong and is frustrating. It can even be something like washing dishes. It's always unexpected too. Yeah, that's it. Just something goes wrong and you go, that's just should work. And it's when things do work that people start to congratulate them that it blows my mind. People are like, wow, can you believe that? I ordered something, it arrived on time. I've got something at the moment. I've ordered something, by the way. Royal Mail says it's delivered and it's just not here. And I messaged them and they said, well, our tracking information says it's been delivered. Well, I am the person who's paid for it and who wanted it, and it's not here. So what do we do now? No one's taking any blame for this. The person who sent it, the delivery company, no one's taking blame. I can't do anything. It just says it's been delivered. There's no photo. It's not here. So what do we do about this? No one wants to take blame. Garth Brooks. Yeah, I'd say the one person I know that likes him is sort of what you'd call a roughster. Oh, I love country music, but it's the old and super old stuff I like. A lot of amazing women and male singers from the 60s and 70s, but that may not be your thing. Johnny Cash, George Jones, Loretta Lynn, and of course Patsy Cline. And real old Molly O'Day, 1930s. There were too many others to name. No, I like them. I've got a Johnny Cash album behind me. I think I've got two. Hi Jake, in the spirit of nothing works, Spotify didn't work this week. I commented last week, and I think because I mentioned Venezuela, you thought I was there. I'm very much in England, but at that point in time they had suffered 2 massive earthquakes, and I'd just seen the news after Bad Bunny mentioned it a few times on his profile, and I was saying how, however much things don't work, there are people suffering more. Basically, I think you summarised this episode anyway. Yeah, there's always bigger things. And those things, acts of God and big things, and that's crazy. It's funny they still call it acts of God, no matter what people's belief is. I think that's even an insurance term. But it's just those little things. And when you do step back, obviously, when you step back and go, well, people are suffering a lot more, then it's fine. But it's in that moment you still sort of go, what is going on? But people are always suffering worse. In a similar level of wholesome to the fox feeding, I had a young blackbird land in my garden who was struggling to fly a few weeks back. And I took him out, some finely chopped grapes and a small bowl of water, and I didn't touch him or anything. I just showed him it was for him and then walked away. There was an adult male and female blackbird that then showed up, and the little bird did manage to fly enough to get away with them. I've been putting something out every day since, hidden under my tree. I was in my garden, pegging out clothes the other day, when an almost fully grown male blackbird came right up to me while I was stood on the patio. So I crouched down, and he placed a worm he'd just caught in front of me, and was looking at me for a bit, then he flew off. I don't obviously know, but honestly it seemed like the same bird trying to give a thank you gift. It was so lovely. I thought this seemed like the kind of group that would appreciate. Yeah, we do. That was it giving you a gift. They're so smart. I walked past a blackbird in the street the other day and I thought, it was just around the corner from where I live, and I thought, I wish I had something to give you because you look like you're looking for something. And I come down this street often, and it would be quite nice to have a bit of protection. And just for that bird gang to know that I'm cool. Wow. How lovely. Did you pick up the worm? So obviously you probably don't really want to, but you want to be like, thank you. Wow. You should give it a gift back. Think we can give it back. Maybe I don't know how you feel about giving them worms, but like give them something back and just see, and then see if you start exchanging gifts. But yeah, they know. Blackbirds are smart, very smart. And I love that. I really want to befriend one. It'd be very difficult with Richard Parker because they'd sort of feel like it was a trap. But no, I do really want to be friends with one. Yeah, lovely. I love that. Wow. Wow. Brilliant. Thank you. And then someone else, but Apple Podcasts haven't loaded the episode either. Can only see it on YouTube. Yeah, it should be okay this week, but then again, nothing works. But it should be there. So from now on, you can listen everywhere and you can watch on YouTube. That's the deal for now. And I'll keep you updated. And someone's put, I don't know who told you country music is cool now, but they're gaslighting you. Country music is cool. It's more acceptable now. And country singers are selling out arenas and stadiums. Country music is cool, okay? Country music is cool, okay? I'm not being gaslit. You're gaslighting me, telling me it isn't cool, actually. Country music is cool, okay? And you know why it's cool? Because I like it. And I'm cool. Country music's cool. It is cool. It is. It was frowned upon for a long time, but now it's cool. Right, I better go. It's hot. I'm wearing the England away top from the 2010 World Cup, which is an absolute disaster for us. But it's a nice top. I've got the home and away. It's got little air holes in it, so it should be cool, but it's actually making me quite hot. Anyway, I'm going to go and make some pesto pasta. Then, I guess I should switch off for a bit. I should try and relax a bit before I go to the for the gig tonight. And then, yeah, this will go out on Monday. Hopefully England are still in the World Cup. The good thing is, either England or Norway are still in the World Cup. And that's a good thing. Okay, everyone. Thank you for listening and or for watching. Let me know what your lucky numbers are and why, if you know. We'll see if there's a common number that comes up as well. So far, we've got 2 people on 16. Anyone else have 28? Let me know. Okay, everyone. Thank you. And I hope you have a great week. And as always, I'll see you next Monday. Bye.